Here we go. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our Star Clipper event, where I'm joined today by Nicola Pierce, who is the account manager for Star Clippers, that covers our Miles Morgan area. And this is one I'm really excited about because actually anytime I ever watch a presentation on Star Clippers, I actually want to go on Star Clippers. And I genuinely mean that, and you know that I'm being honest about that. So I'm going to pass you over to Nicola. She's going to give you some details on this amazing product, which has a lot of misconceptions, I feel, about climbing masts and things. But yeah, I'll pass you to Nicola and we can have some little questions at the end.
Thank you. Okay, just make sure everyone can hear me okay. Moira, can you hear me?
Yeah.
And you can see the screen? Everyone can see the screen? Perfect, great, thank you so much. Well, as Moira said, my name's Nicola and I am an account manager for Star Clippers here in the UK. I probably have one of the best jobs out there working for such a fantastic brand. And during my presentation today, I'm going to try and give you as much information about our ships, where we go. And as Moira said, any questions you've got, then feel free to shout them out at the end. So the presentation will be 30 minutes, lots of lovely pictures to make us all want to go on holiday, and hopefully soon we can stop dreaming about it and actually go ahead and start going on our wonderful holidays and onto these cruise ships. Now, to start Star Clippers, I always like to tell you a little bit about who we are. The people that own us are a family called the Crafts, and they are originally from Sweden and they now reside in Monaco. And quite simply, they had a passion for sailing. They created these ships and started the product of Star Clippers. So on board our ships, we get a real mix of customers. We get about 25% from the UK, and then the rest are a mix of Americans, Germans, Canadians, Australians, and other Europeans. But the one thing they all have in common is that they love being on tall ships. So I'm sure many of you have cruised before. Some of you may have cruised with us, but you'll know if you haven't cruised, I'm going to show you how different we are and why you should cruise with Star Clippers. So as I said, we're a family-owned business based in Monaco. Unfortunately, in the UK, we don't have such beautiful offices. We're based in Ipswich. However, I actually live in Cheltenham, so you'll probably be able to hear my West Country slur today, and hopefully you'll be able to understand everything that I say about these fabulous ships. Let me introduce to you the Star Clipper family. We have 3 ships in our fleet. We've got Star Clipper, Star Flyer, and Royal Clipper. Star Clipper and Star Flyer are identical sister ships, and beautiful in their design. They're 4 masts, they hold 168 passengers. They have 85 different kinds of 85 categories of cabins. So majority of our cabins are outside, which I'll cover off to you shortly, so you can get an idea of what they look like. Like every cruise, it's all about the experience. The crew are fantastic. They're there to look after you. And we are a tall ship, so if you do want to be a bit more immersed in the sailing, you are more than welcome to. But let me be very clear, it's not compulsory. If, like me, you just like to go on a cruise ship to lay back, relax, enjoy the scenery, great food with great company, then that's what we will offer. Now, in a normal year, Star Clipper, she would normally be starting her summer season in Borneo. She would have done 2 sailings in Borneo, then she would have gone to Bali, and then for next winter, she'll be back in Asia, sailing Phuket to Singapore or Singapore to Phuket. Next year, 2022, we are moving her for the first time in 10 years. So I'll let you know where she's moving to. Star Flyer in a normal year would now be back in Europe, sailing out of Athens. That's where she would spend the whole of her summer, Athens to Athens, doing the Greek islands, before transatlanticing back to St. Martin in the Caribbean. And Star Flyer does the same rotation every single year, and is very popular with customers that like to sail on smaller ships that go to some really small, intimate ports of call. Now, Royal Clipper, she's our flagship, and she's a 5-mast ship. She's slightly bigger. She holds 227 passengers. And normally at this point of year, she will be back in the Med, based out of Venice and Rome, before doing her transatlantic across to Barbados, where she spends her winters and then comes back to the Med for the summer season. Beautiful, beautiful ship. If you've been lucky enough to see her perhaps on your own holidays, you'll know that she really is the queen of the seas, and looks, and when you're on board her, makes you feel like an ultra celebrity. So there's 114 cabins on board this ship. Now, Royal Clipper is the only ship in our fleet that has balcony cabins, which I'll show you a picture of shortly. They're exactly the same on board, same as Star Clipper Star Flyer, except the ship is bigger. So there's going to be pool area, sunbeds area, library, bar, restaurants, quiet area, piano bar, gym. So everything you'd get on a big cruise ship in a smaller dimension. Now, people sail with us not just because they are tall ships and they like the sailing, they also sail with us because they are more interested in intimate sailing. So we go to some fabulous ports of call that the big cruise lines don't go to. An example of this would be in Greece, where we would sail to Skopelos and Skiathos, famous for the wonderful film Mamma Mia. And we'll sail around these sort of smaller islands where it'd be unpopulated by big cruise lines. So you do feel you're having a bit more of a holiday away from the crowds. We do, of course, include some of the bigger ports of call on our itineraries for customers that really do want to see some of the bigger destinations. When you're on board the ship, it's got everything you'd expect from a cruise line, but more in a mega yacht sort of experience. Normally at this point, I get asked about sailing under sail. Now, although we'd love to sail under sail all the time, we have to be cautious of the weather conditions. We're on a charter. We need to make sure we get you from A to B in time for you to enjoy your holiday. So when the weather permits, of course, the sails go up and we'll sail under sail, but the rest of the time we will be under engine to make sure we get to where we need to be. So my last cruise before the pandemic, we sailed in Thailand. We actually took some of the Miles Morgan team out to Thailand to experience cruising, and we sailed about 80% of the time under sail, which is just the most amazing experience once you're on board, hearing the wind going through those sails. Now, this is a picture from the crow's nest, not compulsory, you don't have to climb it, but should you wish to climb the crow's nest, you are put in a harness with the crew, so you can't just do it any time of day. It's always done with the safety first aspect is the forefront of our mind, but you will get the most spectacular views from the top of the crow's nest. Really is a fabulous experience. Looking below, you'll see the pool areas, and we've got the sun loungers. The two bigger boats on either side of the ship are the tenders, which we use if we're going to moor off the coast and then take you into land. And the two little boats you see behind that are our Zodiacs, which we will use to take you out on excursions. Maybe you want to chase the ship around, or if you're a scuba diver and you're in Thailand, you can use those to go off and do some scuba diving. The ship is really informal and ultra relaxed. If you're really into sailing or just fascinated by how the ship manoeuvres, you are welcome to join the captain in the bridge. It's open 24 hours a day. If you'd like to get involved in helping on the ship, whether that be the rigging or whether that'll be sitting in the engine room, then we invite you to participate if you would like to. One of the most popular parts is sitting in those front necks that we just saw on the slideshow there. If you want to sit on the front of here and enjoy real luxury then of sailing, this is the place to be. We're so lucky that we sail up and down the Dalmatian coast in Croatia, where there's a lot of activity with the dolphins. And if you're sat here or when we're sailing, what's really great is that dolphins play underneath the nets, and you get to see fabulous images you probably wouldn't ever get to see in the wild normally, and you can relax and just makes you feel like $1 million as you're sailing along the coastline. Of course, you don't have to go in the nets. You are welcome just to sit in the seating area that are all around the ship's surface. So something that's really popular with Star Clippers, and I think if you talk to anyone who sailed with us, they will always talk to you about our sunset sailaways. Generally, we try to get into our ports of call early morning, give you a full day before we sail off into the sunset. And what's really magical about sailing into the sunset with Star Clippers is our customers will go to the top deck. We put our sails up to music, and we have a piece of music by Vangelis, which is called the Conquest of Paradise. And this music's very haunting, very loud, very dramatic. And as we leave port, we put the music on, the sails go up, all those twinkle lights go on, and we sail out with a glass of champagne. It's very special, and it does make you feel like you are on your own private yacht. When I sailed a couple of years ago out of Malaga, we sailed out at sunset past a very big cruise line that had lots of balconies, and every balcony was full of passengers looking over to see what this magnificent ship was doing, sailing out with this beautiful music. So again, it's all those little magic moments that we put together to make our customers feel really special and give you those experiences you might not get with anybody else. Of course, like all cruise ships, it's about the food. We're full board. We don't have our regulations out yet for what this will look like after the pandemic. Until our ships are in the water, we won't know what customers we're taking from which countries, so we don't know what the laws need to be. But at the moment, I'm going to just do as a generalisation, and as we get further into more likely to be sailing, I'm sure we'll be updated, and our preferred partners at Miles Morgan will know all this information. So currently it is full board, so breakfast and lunch. So that would normally be a buffet style on the ship. And our evening meal is a sit-down 6-course silver service dinner. Complimentary tea and coffee and drinking water is available around the ship. We do offer discretionary gratuities tips. So this is down to you if you want to pay them. We don't add them onto your holiday, and we don't expect you to pay them unless you want to. We propose around about €6 per person per day is an average for gratuities, but that's down to yourselves when you're on board. Soft drinks and alcoholic drinks are available at additional costs. We don't have any drinks packages. And just to give you an idea of drinks, a glass of wine would be about €3, a cocktail 5, and a beer would be about €3.50. Everything's in euros on board our ships. It doesn't matter where you're sailing. Everything will be in euros, and there's no VAT or tax on top. So if you've paid €3 for a drink, that's what will be on your bill at the end of your holiday. Excursions are available on board. Again, we don't send out a pack. We leave it down to you individually to decide the day before what you choose to do. Some destinations we go to, an excursion would be necessary. So if you're in Thailand and you wanted to go and see James Bond Island, the ship will have an offering of an excursion. If you were sailing somewhere around Greece, for instance, and you just wanted to jump off the ship and have your own day wandering around the town centres, that's fine too. We take you to the heart of a lot of these destinations. So if you don't want to pay extra for excursions, the option's there, you don't have to. So it's a really nice way to enjoy your holiday. What's really nice is when you're sailing in the Caribbean or Asia, the crew will take you off to a deserted island for a beach barbecue one afternoon. And it's fantastic. So every the ship gets off, we go to a beach, we set up a barbecue in a bar area, and it's like having that magical private island experience with your food and your drink. It really is a fantastic experience. Now, as I talked about in the evening, it is a 6-course a la carte dinner. We have the traditional captain's nights. So we have the baked Alaska and waving the napkins in the air. This is really casual. I can't really express to you enough about our dress code on the ship. We don't have any kind of requirements except for gentlemen to wear long trousers for dinner. Apart from that, that's it. It's a big part of our evening is eating. The restaurant's open from 7 till 9. We don't have fixed dining. We don't have fixed tables. So if you want to sit on a table on your own with your own group, that's fine. If you'd like to meet other passengers and sit elsewhere, that's fine too. So when you go down for dinner, the maitre d' will meet you. He'll ask you what language you speak, just so make sure if you do want some company, you can at least have a conversation. Here you can order wine as well, and wine starts at about €13 a bottle. So again, like I said, it is really quite reasonable to drink on board the ship, should you want to have a tipple or two. Now, when I joined Star Clippers, I'd actually worked for a river cruise company for quite a few years and was always blown away inside cruise ships, but this one always struck me when I first went on board Star Clipper. I went on board Royal Clipper actually. This was inside the ship, and it's hard to believe that this atrium, so beautiful in its design, is inside that tall ship. So it just shows you how big they are inside, and each level you see on there leads off to the cabins. The restaurant's on the bottom of Royal Clipper. There are no lifts on the ship, so you need to be fully abled to be able to navigate up and down the stairs. But it is really easy. You can't get lost. And as you can see, it's absolutely beautiful, very much done in the decade and the time of when clipper ships were the queens of the seas. Like all holidays, we have a little tropical bar area where customers and you can meet before going for dinner, or if they're going to come up afterwards. We do afternoon snacks around the bar area. All our entertainment takes place here. All the morning talks by the cruise director or the captain will take place in the tropical bar. So it really is the hub of the ship. Now you can see there that the ship is open, so you are sat with the winds blowing into the bar area. But if you go through either side the doors on the other side of the bar, we'll take you to an indoor seating area, which has got loads of seats, the piano bar, and it's all table service. So you can get comfy and the staff will come and serve you. Now, the entertainment on board our ships is very tongue-in-cheek. It's very low-key. It might be dancing under the stars. It could be a quiz. We might have some local entertainment on board, or it could be Royal Clippers Got Talent. We do try to mix and match it and take what the customers have done from the day and make that into their evening. So if everybody wants to have a bit more fun, then we'll make sure that happens. If it's more low key and just you want to sit around chatting around the bar, then you can do so. We'll also have on board the ship yoga that takes place around the tropical bar area, and then on top deck you can go and sit under the stars and do stargazing should you wish. So it's a real hub of the ship, and all three of our ships have their own tropical bar areas. Now, water sports are free on board Star Clipper. The only thing that's excluded is scuba diving, but kayaking, paddleboarding, snorkeling, going out on the Zodiacs are all completely free. Wonderful when you've got fantastic weather and you want to have that experience of being out at sea. Royal Clipper actually has the platform that comes off the ship. So you can see there some of our guests in the past that are making full use of that. So you can use this platform to go and do your water sports or go swimming. If you'd rather do it from land, of course, the crew will take you over by Zodiac, where the rest of the equipment will be for you to participate in any water sport should you want to. One of the best things that I've done was when I was in Thailand with one of the managers from Miles Morgan, was we went on the Zodiac and we chased one of the ships around Thailand. It was one of those experiences that you couldn't really relay back to someone. You had to do it yourself. But going around, skidding around on these Zodiacs and seeing the ship from all different angles and getting fantastic photos is really quite a memorable experience to have. So on board our ships, the cabins, we don't have a huge amount of categories, and I would say 70% of our cabins would look like a category 3. So you can see they're very similar to other cruise lines. We only have a couple of inside cabins. On Royal Clipper we only have 4, and on Star Clipper and Starfly we only have 1. So most of our cabins will look like this with a porthole. As you'd expect from any cruise, we have a turn down service. They're ensuite, fully marbled bathroom with toiletries, plenty of space to put your luggage under the bed. There's a wardrobe and a dressing table. You'll also see a TV and a DVD player. So if you did want to spend some time in your cabin, you can do so. Wi-Fi is not free on board our ships, and because the nature of our ships and the demographics of how we sail, you'll find that if you do pay for it, it can be a bit hit and miss. But you'll see for most of our itineraries, we are stopping every day. So if you do need to check in with home, you can do it from land side where you'll probably get a better signal. Now, Category 1 cabins are probably the most popular ones. They're higher up the ship. They're slightly bigger in their design. They've got the picture window, but all the amenities are exactly the same in all of the cabins. So it just depends on preference on where you want to be on the ship. So it might be now's a good time to address the question I get asked quite a lot around seasickness and what do we recommend? Well, if your budget allows, I would always say to you go further up the ship, midship, where you'll get a little bit more stable from the sailing. But even if you've got a lower grade category, when the sails are up, it does skim the water, so you don't get so much seasickness. Obviously can't guarantee it, and we do have medical staff on board should you do get the unfortunate seasickness. But my advice would be, if you're a little bit unsure, then I would go up to a category 1 if you can, which is more going to be higher up the ship and on mid-deck. Of course, if you're on Royal Clipper, we've got 14 deluxe suites. These always get booked out really, really quickly with only 14 of them. You can see, again, they're bigger in size at the top of the ship, so you get your own little balconies on each one of those. They are only available on Royal Clipper. So where do we go? So we talk a bit about Asia, because that was the last cruise that I did. Now this is going to be Star Clipper's last season next year in Asia. We have to move her to the Mediterranean to help with the huge demand that we have for sailing around the Med on a tall ship. So the last sailing in Thailand will be March 2022. Now, the top cruise there, Thailand and Malaysia. This is a cruise that I did with the team from Miles Morgan. We sailed from Phuket to Langkawi, but you can do this with the extension into Singapore as well. And this is a fantastic cruise. You will sail through the national park in Thailand, where no other cruise lines go. All you see is the long ships and beautiful limestone rocks and quiet little islands to go scuba diving off. So if you're looking for some real R&R, this one will tick the box 100%. The bottom one was a sailing that we also have for later on next year, which is going across to Koh Samui and then going to Cambodia and coming back. So this is an 11-night cruise, so slightly longer. But I can thoroughly recommend, if anyone's looking for a real escape, then the Thailand is definitely up there of getting away from the hustle and bustle of going around the bigger islands in the Med or the Caribbean. Just to give you an idea of price, or 7 nights sailing around Asia without using flights, we would do that separately, is around £1,300 per person. So it's really, really reasonable when you think the flights to Thailand could be about £450 plus perhaps pre and post stay. So it makes it a really reasonable cruise. So on to the Mediterranean. As you've probably worked out from the fact we've got to move our third ship into the Med. The demand is super high here, and for a lot of cruises for 2022, we're already nearly at full capacity on certain sailing dates. My favourite is the Eastern Med. As you can see, there is Athens to Athens, and that takes you to Limnos, Poros, Skopelos and Skiathos, which is where the film Mamma Mia was filmed. Beautiful Greek islands, just exactly how you imagine them to be. Really easy to navigate around if you don't want to go on a tour. You'll also find, if you're sailing around this part of Greece, that you will have more chance of sailing with the sails up, because the conditions there do predict that it's better. If you're looking at the Western Med, you've then got Venice, and that takes in the Croatian coastline, or you can move round to going out of Rome and doing the Italian Riviera. The Venice departure is really, really popular. I think we only have 2 dates next year for customers to book onto. It's the best part of sailing is along that Dalmatian coast. The scenery, the wildlife in the water, the stops, the chance of sailing under sail are just so incredibly popular. So if you want to sail on this particular cruise, I would suggest that you now think about 2023, because the availability on the key sailing dates for next year are full. So if you want to advance register, then please let Moira know, and we can pop you on the list for when we're ready to release 2023. Now, we talked about Star Clipper coming back to the Med, and it's really exciting. We've not had her in the Med for so long. She's going to be doing Istanbul to Athens and Athens to Istanbul. Fabulous sailing. Sailing in and out of Istanbul at night really is got to be up there on the bucket list. To give you an idea of price, sailing in and out of on this particular sailing, you're looking around £1,600. Really fantastic value for 7 nights. If you were looking at doing Athens to Athens on Star Flyer, you'd be looking around about £1,500 per person. And Venice, 7 nights is about £1,800 per person. So I'm hoping that any illusion that you might have around price with us, I've just broke that, because we are actually really reasonable. And the great thing is with Star Clippers that you can add on land stays. So if you really want to go to Istanbul and have a few nights after the cruise, you can of course add on a couple of nights stay, and you'll be fully covered underneath our atoll. Then we have our ocean crossings, not for everybody. It's a 16-day cruise, but 12 days of that will be purely at sea. So if you really do want to get away from having no Wi-Fi, no contact with the outside world, and just want to immerse yourself in the sailing experience, then get yourself on the transatlantic crossings, because they will offer that for definite. Our most popular sailing for the winter is by far Barbados. There are great routes from the UK, direct flights into Barbados. Everybody likes to stay on the island, either pre or post cruise, and you go to some really beautiful islands and see some fantastic scenery. Starfly is based in St Martin, so British Virgin Islands. Beautiful, beautiful itinerary, and takes you to some really remote parts of the Caribbean where you really do get to feel like a celebrity. And now I'm going to introduce to you our newest destination, which is Costa Rica. So with Star Clipper leaving Asia, she will come down into the Med and be based out of Rome predominantly, apart from those two cruises I showed you a minute ago. Then she's making her way to Costa Rica, and we are so happy to be able to offer this program back into our program after 10 years of not using Costa Rica as a destination. It's so incredibly popular as a land place to go and explore, and now you can add on a cruise as well. So it'll be Costa Rica to Nicaragua or Costa Rica to Panama. You can do back-to-back sailing if you want to, or you could do 7 nights cruising with a 3 and a 4 night pre or post stop in Costa Rica. Perhaps spend some time visiting some of the fantastic attractions, the beautiful colours, and really immerse yourself in a real culture holiday. And whether that's zip wiring through the rainforest, trying some beautiful Costa Rican coffee, or going to remote beaches and seeing some superb wildlife, this one is a definite for the bucket list. We are really happy to have Costa Rica. It doesn't actually start until November 2022, but we're already taking bookings from customers. The flights will hopefully work with BA, which will be a direct route to Costa Rica, and then you can enjoy your 7-night sailing or add on an extension. We're also very well known for making some really memorable experiences. Maybe you've always wanted to sail the Panama Canal. That's something that's really popular with our customers. And next year we'll have Royal Clipper and Star Clipper both participating in the Panama Canal. Maybe you've always wanted to go to the Monaco Grand Prix. Being that we're based in Monaco, we like to have at least one ship in for race weekend. And next year it's the 28th of May, I believe. So you can tie up having a 7-night sailing with 2 nights in Monaco, where we can provide you some grandstand tickets so you can go and watch the race, whether you go on race day or you want to go the day before. Maybe you've always wanted to combine it with a train. So something that's really popular is the Venice Simplon Orient Express rail and sail. So this would be sailing on Royal Clipper from Venice. So we'd fly you to Venice, you'd have a fantastic 7-night sailing before having a night in Venice, and then travelling back up to France on the Orient Express and having that real taste of luxury. Then coming back to the UK, you will then catch the Belmont from the south of England back into London, where again we try to make you feel as special as you are. So there's lots of combinations you can do with Star Clippers. We're not just offering you just a sailing experience, we can offer you on some fantastic land stays as well. Now, hopefully I've covered off everything that you want to know about Star Clippers. One question I've been asked quite a lot about the last couple of weeks is when will we have summer 2023 on sale? We are hoping to have that on sale next month. So as I said, it's a good time to advance reg if you're thinking about doing anything in the Mediterranean that takes your fancy. If you are looking to do Royal Clipper and you want a balcony, you will have to be quick. 14 of them do go really, really quickly. So thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to listen to me talk about this fabulous product. This picture is of Royal Clipper, and this is her leaving Venice. We are lucky enough that our tonnage means we'll still be able to sail in and out of Venice following the move from the Italian government to stop cruise ships going in and out. But because we're classed as a small ship, we'll still have that luxury. So thank you ever so much for your time. Any questions, then please let me know, and I'll hand you back over to Moira. Thank you.
Nicola, that's lovely. Thank you. That was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed that. And I've actually made lots of notes because I've learnt quite a few different things as well. So yeah, I think first and foremost, a lot more affordable than people kind of realise, and also quite surprising the facilities that you've got on board. you know, because I think that, you know, we always kind of look at it and think there's nothing on board other than maybe some cabins, you know, so that was great. Does anybody have any questions they'd like to ask Nicola? Sally?
Yeah, thanks, Nicola. It's not so much a question, but just say thanks, because I have looked at your brochures in the past, but that has really brought it alive, actually. So, yeah, I hadn't realised it was as big inside and as comfortable.
Yeah, it's really surprising. When I first went on board, in my mind, I really thought it was going to be like a pirate ship inside, you know, just kind of like these kind of like just stairs, I suppose. And that auditorium, when I first walked in, it blew my mind that was how big the ship was inside. But you never really, my partner and I went out there a couple of years ago now, and every morning we went on top deck, had a croissant and a cup of coffee, and no one else was on there. It just felt like we were on our own private yacht. It was beautiful.
There's no rope ladders then?
We can get one out for you.
Anyway, so are you sailing this year, or have you
So we've postponed everything in line with the government guidelines. We've just taken one of our ships out of dry dock. She is ready to go. She's had a nice little extended spruce up this winter. And, you know, fingers crossed that we get some good news tomorrow from the government that we might be able to open up some of these areas in Europe where our ships are and be able to offer it to our customers. So potentially, yes, we're ready.
Okay, I've got to go now, but thank you very much. Anyway, thanks.
You're more than welcome.
Thank
you, Sally. Thank you.
I guess the thing as well, Nicola, is that because it's so small, you know, people might feel very confident on it, especially this year, you know.
Yeah, I was absolutely. We just need to wait. If the government extends this list of countries we can go in out to if you've had the vaccination, then it means that potentially we could start sailing in the summer. We have cancelled Star Clipper all the way up till October. We don't think Singapore's going to open anytime soon for us, and that's where she's based. So we've taken a decision so our customers can rebook for the following year. We've cancelled all the way up till October. But Royal Clipper and Starflyer are only cancelled up until July. First sailing in August.
Right. Yeah.
But Star Clipper in Asia, we think that might be a bit of a slower one for us to get customers out to, but we're confident the Med will open.
Yeah, that's good. Does anybody else have any questions, Bill? Would you like to ask?
Just to say, I was very pleasantly surprised by the images and what you showed there. Like I think it was Sally, I probably had a preconception of what being on a sailing ship would be like, having visited various different sort of sailing ships like RRS Discovery. You know, the sense of what a cabin on a sailing ship would be like, and what a deck would be like, and what the interior would be like is inside. But what you're showing is not the same as that inherent view. It does look far more impressive than I had imagined it to be.
Oh, thank you.
One thing that does affect me particularly is the fact that I'm a solo traveller.
Okay.
And when you book things, then always there tends to be, we're always told the price per person is something, and then I suddenly find maybe it's going to cost me twice as much or whatever. I know there's always a bit extra.
Yeah.
I wish folk would be a bit more honest when they're displaying things and just give.
Well, we do. On Royal Clipper, cabin 232 is a solo cabin. There's no under occupancy charge on that. And it's a normal cabin, just that we sell it to solo passengers. And then on the other two ships and Royal Clipper, we also do a guaranteed single where the supplement's only, I think, 15% generally, and we will guarantee you a cabin on the ship. We just won't tell you which cabin it is. Now, normally I get, we're always going to get the inside cabins. Well, we've taken our inside cabins out now, so we only have one. So the chances are you will get an outside cabin at no extra cost.
Well, I must admit, I find that very impressive. It's not from my experience.
No, I understand.
What happens with various other companies.
Yeah, and it's a great way as a solo passenger.
Yeah.
You don't feel you have to take part in everything. There's enough room for you to escape it if you don't really want to be part of everything, but you never really feel like you're on your own either. which I think is quite nice. You get the balance of both. Well, on the Thailand sailing I did 2 years ago now, there was, I think, 9 solo travellers on there, all female, funny enough, but they just all felt very safe on the ship. They didn't feel like they get lost on like they do on a big ship. They felt that it was a good compromise of having time with other passengers and having time on their own.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Can I say, I was actually very impressed by the size. When you showed the pictures of, I think it was the deck at the back, and you saw actual people in comparison to it.
Yeah.
It did give a much better insight as to the size of these ships, because again, the sort of preconditioned thought is, oh, it's just a yacht, a big yacht. But it's actually a bit more than that in terms of what in reality it is. And that's, again, quite impressive. So I was taken with that. I was going to say something else now. Yeah. Now that I'm in my 70s now, and does age cause any problems with being on a yacht? I mean, you did mention people have to be, there are no lifts, fair enough.
Yeah.
But obviously, a lot of people who may be contemplating holidays, age and any potential disabilities or problems that they may have, they are difficulties which they must have inside themselves and are very major factors in what their decision-making processes are. What is your company's attitude towards people who may have some disabilities or may have age problems or whatever? Yeah,
I think on average, if you averaged out all of our sailings, the average age is 67 on our ships of a customer. So the Thailand ones probably attract a bit more of a younger demographic because they want to go diving. So that would be slightly different. But if you look at the Barbados sailings, majority of our customers are retired. Have travelled with us before. 64% of our customers travel with us every year and have done. I met a couple from Dundee a couple of years ago. They've been with us 28 times, and they were probably, I think he was 79. It was around about that age. His only gripe would be that he wasn't young enough to keep up with the crew. But apart, the actual, it's so, I was saying to Moira before, it's so relaxed on our ships. They take into account, because we can individually. So if we're disembarking and it's a tender, which can be a challenge if you're a little bit unsure on your feet, they will always make sure the people that need to get off in their own time have that time. There's no rush to get everybody off. We're not that kind of business. It's not that kind of cruise. I had a customer sell with me a Parkinson's. That was a couple of years ago. Again, travelled with us many times. The crew were there to help, and he felt reassured. I think if you're in a wheelchair, that would be slightly different, because your safety has to come first. So we need to make sure that, if there was an emergency, you could get off the ship in a relatively good time. But I don't think I've ever come across anyone that's age or disability stop them travelling with us. It's one of those things that it appeals to everyone, whether you're romantic and you just want the sailways with a glass of champagne, or whether you do want to climb the rigging. There's no age on that. So if you're feeling fit enough and you want to climb the crow's nest, then we'll encourage you. You're in a harness, obviously. You're not going to just climb up it without any safety. But yeah, as I said, the average age is well over the 60s.
Do you do anything more than 7 days in the Mediterranean?
We do. So we've got a couple of taster cruises, which are 3 nights, but the most popular one is our 11 night, which is from Venice to Rome, which takes in the Croatian coastline and comes sort of around the Horn of Italy. That's really popular. And there's another 11 night one that goes the other way around, which takes in Corfu. So we do those, or you can do a back-to-back. So if you saw us 2 7 nights that you liked, you can just book the back-to-back cruises. They actually give you a discount for doing that as well.
Oh.
We love a discount, don't we?
Yeah, that's great. Do you know what? It just looks amazing. I could just imagine that champagne sailaway with the lights and the music. That must just be unbelievable. you know, sailing.
Yeah, it's very haunting. I mean, Vangelis is a quite haunting artist anyway, but if you've ever heard of Conquest of Paradise, you'll know it's when you're sailing to it. Yeah, it's like it gives those shivers.
Yeah, amazing. That's that, and I think the informality of it as well. And it's great, Nicola, because you've covered so much about the dress code, obviously, and you know, people, if they want to dine on their own, they can, but if they want to have company, they can, which is great. You know, it's and the open sitting thing's really good because it's offering that sort of relaxed informality as well. You know, that's great. Yeah, no, does anybody else get any questions that they'd like to ask?
I take it flights are BA to the Mediterranean, are they?
We can use whoever you want, so depending on where you're based in the UK. So for us down here, we like to use Bristol, so unfortunately that doesn't mean the dreaded Ryanair sometimes, but we will cover you as an atoll, so you don't have to worry about losing any money on airfares. But if you have a preferred airline, we will absolutely help you to use that if that works for you. Most people want to go with an airline that's closest to to where they live, so you know, makes it a bit easier for departing. But yeah, we'll use whoever you want us to use.
Okay.
Yeah, which is great. So Dave, you could use EasyJet into Venice or Jet2, you know, one that will go direct. You know, they'll use direct carriers, which is good. You know, and
yeah, I mean, going into Venice is fantastic with EasyJet. We use them probably the most, I would say, into Venice. Before the pandemic, they used to have 3 flights a day for most airports. So we don't board the ship. You're not allowed on the ship until after 4 p.m. So if it's a European sailing, you don't necessarily have to go the night before if you didn't want to. So when I went out from Malaga, I got the morning flight from Bristol. I had a full day in Malaga and I boarded the ship about 5:30. I think you have to be on by 7:30 at night, ready for sail away. And then when you get off the ship, they chuck you off at 9:30. So then you've got the full day if you want to in that resort, or you can get the first flight out. It's quite straightforward.
Yeah, that's great. No, that's super. That's great. Oh, Nicola, thanks very much. And I think you've got early booking savings for 2022 as well.
Oh yeah, there's and like I said, if you want to pre-register for 2023 for the Med, then to let you know, we can pre-register. There'll be early booking discounts. They just haven't told us what they are now. And then, you know, if anyone books from today for the next 2 weeks, we'll give you some onboard cabin spend as well. I'll send that across to you, Moira, so you've got it.
That's great. I'll feed it on to all of you. Oh, well, listen, thanks, Nicola. That was absolutely brilliant.
Welcome.
Thoroughly enjoyed it. One of these days, I am going to go on it, definitely, 100%. I really fancy it.
Love to have you on board.
Yeah, definitely fancy it. Oh, thanks, everybody. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
See you.
Bye. Take care. Bye.
Bye. Bye.